quick video about spreadsheets. A quick introductory video, really. So it's about what you need to know for the purposes of the course more than anything, but some general things that you need to know for spreadsheets in general. So the main thing you need to know about are these things called references. These come in quite a lot when you come to do formulas. So references look like A6 or B2 or F9, things like that. And what references do is they tell you the location of a cell. The cells are the little boxes that you get in spreadsheets. And the main place you'll use these is in formulas. So if we look at this example here, E8 is pointing, we've got these two arrows, one is pointing to the E column and one is pointing to the 8 row. Where these two things intersect is where the E8 cell is in here, this box or this rectangle that is here. Now this may seem a bit abstract or theoretical at the moment, but it will make sense once you start to use it. So when you want to refer to a single cell, you could just use E8, but sometimes you need to refer to a group of cells, and we call that a range. A range is usually a part of a column or a row of cells. It can be the entire row or it can be the entire column. So you can highlight an entire row or a column. And it includes a start cell and an end cell. So that's what we see here. We'll come to this in a minute. But it's used in formulas, again, particularly in range formulas like sum and minimum and maximum and average. And so in this example here, we see F4 and F9, and it has a colon in between. F4 is the start, so it's everything that start is in blue, and F9 is the end of the range. F4 is here on this diagram, on this graphic. So the 6500 for Kent, and this here 4950 is F9. Because it's in both of them are in column F, but the start is F4 and the end is F9. You can also have ranges that go across, of course. So this is a vertical range, but you can have horizontal ones. So if we had one that was covering all of the figures for Andrews, it would be D9 to D9 to F9. So, as we've just said, ranges can be part of a column or a row. So a column is a vertical set of cells, and a row is a horizontal set of cells. And columns and rows have designations. So columns have letters, so column A, B, C, D. Now you might think, well, there's only 26 letters in the alphabet. What happens after Z? Well, when you get to use Excel, go and see what happens. Go and see how far you can scroll to the right. Depending on which version of Excel you use, that will be different, down to limitations in each program. But in the newer versions of Excel, it's very high, and you'll see that you can have lots and lots of columns, and you can also have lots and lots of rows, even more rows than columns usually. So the first row is 1, but it goes up to a huge number of rows, more than you'll ever need, I think. And as we said, a cell is like a little box, and usually you designate or can reference a cell according to which row and which column it is in. So there's some basic math skills that you'll need to know for when you use spreadsheets. Obviously spreadsheets use numbers, so you'll need to know what add is, but also You need to know the other words for it as well. So plus, total, combined, together. You need to be familiar with the synonyms so that when you're given an instruction about how to calculate something, you know what to use. So if you see these words like plus or total or combined or together, you know that it means do an addition. Subtraction can also be said in different ways. So take away, minus, difference, leftover, remaining, less than, remove, deduct, decrease. So all these are the subtraction. Multiply. Now this there's less words, but there's different ways of saying things. So if something is the product of something, it means multiply the two numbers that are mentioned. If you sometimes hear by, so you'll have 6 by 4. That means 6 times 4. Groups of, 6 groups of 4. That's the same thing. 6 lots of 4, 6 times 4. They're the same idea. Divide, less synonyms for that again. So you might say 6 shared between 3, 6 split between 3, 6 each or 3 each. Parts of, so you can divide something into so many parts. Another thing that you need to be aware of, but don't worry too much about it just yet, is something called order of operations. We also often refer to this as BODMAS. Sometimes you'll hear it referred to as PEDMAS or BIDMAS, depending on which country you're reading something from. In Australia, they use different terminology. In America and Canada may be different as well. But it's all the same thing. It's just different letters or different words. So brackets can also be parentheses. So that's where the PEDMAS, P-E-D, or PODMAS. The order one, you don't need to worry about, but divide, multiply, addition, subtraction. All this is about is which order arithmetic gets done in. But when we get into more about how brackets are used, that's when we'll talk about it more. But this is something you need to keep in mind and maybe look up about it. Try and research it a little bit. Maybe have a look for a video on YouTube, see if you can find anything, and then you'll know a bit more about it. You'll also need to know how to do some formatting. This is not as important, but it's still quite important because you need to know how to make things look presentable. So you need to adjust column widths and row heights sometimes to make sure everything fits on the screen or fits into a page. You need to know how to insert a column because you didn't plan properly or you decide to change the way you're going to lay things out. So you'll need to know how to do that. Columns and rows, we will cover this all in the next video. Also, how to delete columns and rows that you don't need, or if you've planned out something too large or put something in the wrong place. You also need to know the standard formatting techniques, which you should know from Word and PowerPoint. So, like things like bold, italic, underline, alignment, such as bold, left, right, center. You will know how to do all those things, but we will quickly cover them in the video. And also understand how to use number formats. So what we're talking about there is appropriate use of decimal places or integers. Decimal places is so things like 2.46, and integers are whole numbers. So you don't have a point something, you just have a number. So those are usually units of things. But when you're talking about money, you often have decimal places because your things like 2.46 would be £2.46. But if you are specifically talking about money, you often put a pound sign on, and that's what we call currency format. Now, the most important thing you're going to need to know is how to do calculations. So using simple formulas or formulae, and using the basic functions such as sum and average, minimum and maximum, and also using replication is useful. You can get away with not using it, but it saves you a lot of time. There's a thing here about taking a short quiz. I will give you a link to that or I have given a link to that in your email, and you can find it in the video description as well. You're not going to get immediate feedback for this, but the quiz answers that you submit will be sent to me, and I will give you feedback. It's mainly for me to understand what your mathematical knowledge is, so that I can give you some individualized help with any mathematical issues you might have to do with the things we were just talking about BODMAS and functions and things like that. Okay, so time to watch the next video.